All right, let's step into a trade review here of ticker symbol UNP. Union Pacific Corporation is the company. So this one came up on the scanners yesterday, right there. And as usual, we'll zoom in just a minute. But when it came up, first thing to notice, I looked left, there really wasn't much in the way of support. The reason for this bounce, anyways. However, now we will go ahead and zoom in. I did notice this little bit of a trend line right there, and you can see we were bouncing right at it. Right at it. Price opened up right here on our signal day. It pushed down, bounced at that trend line, and came back up. So, with that in mind, I was like, well, and my thinking was, let me look at it a little bit more. And I did notice that we had a little wedge right here. So we had formed a small wedge. You can see how I did that, just simply drawing the two trend lines that were visible. Just draw them in, and we can see it creates a wedge pattern. Now, price on our signal day actually tested both sides of it, and the same thing the day before. So, remember, this wasn't here at the time when I was looking at this chart because this was today, obviously, and this got put on the watch list yesterday. Uh, so I had to imagine, what is this going to look like if it were to trigger? Because we needed it to trigger and break 211.35. So to get up there, I knew it was going to have to break this out of this wedge a pretty decent ways for it to for us to even enter the trade. And at that point, I did feel confident that it would continue higher. If it were to trigger, it would be breaking our trigger. We'd enter the trade, feeling confident that it was going to continue higher after it is finally broken out of this wedge. So that was my theory. That was my thesis on it. And in this case, it turned out to be true. And let's see. So we triggered fairly quickly. We'll jump into the 1 minute in just a little bit and show you how quick it happened. But it did trigger fairly quickly, and this thing just was a rock star all day long. No complaints here. Never in any trouble, as you'll see in the 1 minute. So again, with Armor Trading Systems, with the way I teach and what we go over in the war room each morning, everything is laid out in front of you. We know what the stock is. We know where our entry is. We know where our stop is, or at least if you're going to follow along exactly with me, you know what stop to use. Now, the only issue becomes, when will you exit? Or the only question you have to ask yourself is, when will you exit? And the first thing that we'll go over is the exiting into resistance, or scaling out into resistance if you want. So our trigger was here. For me, the first exit, and let me zoom out a little bit or slide over a little bit. So for me, the first area that you could have exited, or that I would have recommended exiting, would have been right there. You can see this is a fairly key level. I mean, I say key, it's minor. It's a very minor level. We can see it here, here, and here. Could have exited position there. Exited some or all your position. Even 211.35 to that, that's still like 2 points to there. And that happened really quick too. The next level I would have said definitely would have been right there. You can see kind of right here. The main thing I was looking at was right there. Was that wick after this gap down where price tried to push back up. It didn't quite fill the gap, so for some reason this would prove to be a strong level on this day. So that would have been the next area to take profit. And then lastly was the full gap fill right in there. That would have been the best area to take profit. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. That would have been the best spot to take profit. Now, the way looking at those three levels, let's just say if we went ahead and predetermined these three levels that we were looking for me personally, if I was going to use this strategy, I would exit most of the position at the closest resistance, simply because it could bounce. It could bounce and come back. So I would exit most of the position here and then move my stop to my entry and then continue scaling out. But you can do it whatever you see or whatever fits your trading style best or whatever you prefer doing. Another exit strategy here would be to simply, when it triggers, enter that trade, set a stop at our stop that we go over each morning, and then just let it ride through the rest of the day. You can close it at the rest of the day, or if you get up like this one, you could have got up big. We see the high was 217.85. That's 6.5 points above our entry, and this one was just fantastic. So if you held it all day, you would have been absolutely fine. You still would have gotten it closed at 215.78. So you would have made, about 4.5 points on the trade. Would have been a great trade. Really, really fantastic trade for you. So now let's jump into scalping it. If you wanted to be in and out fairly quickly, this was one. It's not a lot to go over because it was bang on money. So the entry, let's see, 211.35. It did happen in that very first minute of the day. Over the course of the next 2 minutes, it did drop down to the low there of 211.08. So less than 30 cents. And if your stop is 30 cents on a stock like this that has this much movement, this much range, you're doing something wrong. You need to take a smaller position size so that you can have a wider stop. There's no reason anybody, even if you're scalping, should have got stopped out of this. It just went straight up, basically, and straight up for most of the day. Did come down some, as you can see, and then push back up at the end. But still, this trade was never in any doubt, never in any worry. Just a tiny little bit at the very beginning of the day. And it was after that, it was smooth sailing. So this was, again, turned out to be a really good trade for us. Really happy with how it turned out. Looks beautiful after it broke that wedge, just rocketed up. Really happy with this one, how it turned out. So thank you for watching. Again, if you want to know more information about what I do or how I do it, please check out armortrades.com. And there's plenty of information there. Plenty of opportunity there for you as well. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to this video. I really appreciate it. Thank you again, and God bless.